Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. This episode we are doing the last of my videos concerning Cataclysm, a Second World War, which, again, my most anticipated game in the last 5 years, and it's just really cool. It is the best sandbox game I've ever played, I'll put it that way. Sorry I was going to save all that for the end, but just kind of came out right now. So at this point here, I want to make one note first, and I did note this on the other video. I did make a mistake with Japan. Because Japan is at mobilization level, their conversion rate is 1 to 2. So with their 3 resources, I was able to get more things for them. So I bought another offensive, I bought an army, and I think I bought an airplane from the Force Pool 2. It's on the other video to take a look there. Okay, so at this point here, we're ready to start the action phase of 1937-38. Now, part of the reason I'm doing this video is to show you how the interruption thing works, because I've found, at least in my own plays, that at the beginning of turns, I really do a lot of interruptions. As the turn wears on, the interruptions are less and less unless you put markers back into reserve, which of course you can do. But interruption is a way to get your pieces out there from reserve, and then again, when you draw a marker, remember from the cup, you can either play it as is, you can put it in reserve if it's there, if it's empty, or kick out whatever's in reserve. But remember, that goes back to your either your force pool or your production pool, I should say. It goes back into your production center there if you reject it, or you can just reject it out of hand as well too. Let me just double check that bit there as far as rejecting it goes. Let me just double check and make sure it does go back to the force pool. Now that I said that out loud, I just want to make sure. Available force pool or available markers box. Yeah, okay, so you don't actually send it back to your production pool. You have to start all over again if you reject it, so be careful. So if you reject like an airplane, you actually get to put it in the force pool, and then you have to build it again. That's a bit of a pain in the dupa, as we say. Okay, so enough about that. Let's jump right in here with a new action phase. Okay, and since some of this action is going to be over here with the reserves, I'm going to go ahead and focus on that to start this particular video here. Okay, so as you can see here, with each tower, you have the reserve column. Now at the beginning of the turn, because when you set everything up with your chits in the cup, each country can put a chit into the reserve. And again, you can interrupt. Interruption rules basically are they go in order of efficiency, or effectiveness. So the Germans clearly have the edge there, and then of course you can go down from there. The other thing you cannot do with interrupting is you cannot do 2 of the same ideology in a row. So for example, if Germany interrupts, then the next interruption cannot be by Japan or Italy. Okay. Now, yeah, so again, an effectiveness order is how you go on that. I'm just double checking to see. You can never go twice in a row. And that kind of avoids ties, I guess, more than likely. That's what I was double checking on, was the ties. Okay, so right off the bat, boom. First thing is Germany's going to go ahead and interrupt, because Germany wants to take this and wants to beef up things. So now that you have an idea here, you can see Germany has land upgrade. Japan has a flag, which remember they're probably going to use in conjunction with Italy to try and go ahead and create that alliance. The Soviet Union has a flag because, remember, Comrade Stalin has been expanding. He's been reaching out like an octopus, which is highly appropriate. And then, of course, U.S. has an air unit. Britain has an offensive, which can be used as an aid marker, too. And then, of course, we have the French also with an aid marker as well. So now that we've kind of covered that and reviewed that, let's go over here to the map so we can see where the action is. Okay, here we go. So Germany is going to use their upgrade. So they put that back into their force pool. And when you upgrade, you have to be able to trace a line of communications. I haven't talked much about that yet because at peacetime, lines of communications are not a big deal. Wartime is much more of a big deal, especially when you start to get fleets into play and subs into play. But Germany's going to go ahead and flip this one here. in the roar to its tank side. And of course the tank side gives you advantages as the game goes on. So now somebody in the effectiveness 2 position could go ahead and go if they want to. Okay. Now, of course, part of the strategy of this game is if you don't want the chance for another fascist power to go, you know, the communists could pass, the democracies could pass, and make them wait. Okay. But basically, it's like a turn delay. But a lot can happen in one chip pool, especially if you pull a crisis chip. Okay. So the Soviets will decline. They're going to sit back and wait and see. They're watching to see what's going to happen here because they're eyeing some different things that are going on. And same thing with the democracies. They're not going to give the fascists another chance here because they know that the Japanese and Italians are planning on this alliance. So we'll go ahead, and everybody else will not choose to interrupt right now. So here we go to the clock. And our first counter is a Japanese army. Okay, so now Japan could go ahead and, well, I have to deploy it in Tokyo first. That's where the factory is. But then they could move it along from there. But the question is where to move it to. Because right now Manchuria is maxed out. Yes. So you know what? We'll just put it in the home island now because that's maximum stacking rate until we're ready for an offensive. Now, anybody can interrupt at this point in time here because nobody has done the interruption at this point in time. I don't think, and I'm just double checking here because again, I'm just trying to get this completely correct. Can't act twice in a row via interrupt. Okay, but it doesn't matter with the marker, I believe. So Japan could go ahead and play, or Italy could go ahead and play. Well, Italy will go ahead and they'll try the alliance. Now remember, with the alliance, both sides have to have marker in reserve. Now, technically you use the lowest efficiency of the two parties involved, but since we still have El Duce in charge of Italy, El Duce gets to roll 2 dice for any political actions via special rules. So instead of 1 die, Italy gets to roll 2 to try and put this alliance together. Here we go. Survey says, oh, it's a 4 and a 3. Curses. So they did not manage to get the alliance put together. But, and this is one thing that, again, I have to stress as a solo player. I forget about this a lot. So try to learn from my mistakes here. Now we're going to put a cube of both Japan and Italy into the alliance box, okay? Because now they'll get +1 the next time that they activate and try an alliance if they can. More than likely not this turn. Okay, nobody else feels the need to interrupt. So, Japan gets to go again. This time it's an air unit, okay? So Japan's going to go ahead and place it in Tokyo, and then you always get a free redeployment whenever you place your unit. They're going to fly it to Korea. Now, the reason for that is we are eyeing up, again, if I mispronounce some of these things, I apologize. Hey, bye, because at some point I'm going to turn Japan against China here, too. Basically, I'm doing the thing that Payne argues in his book should not be done. I am basically going and launching a land campaign completely with Japan. Okay. Here we go. It's on. A Japanese offensive marker. So, now, because the conversion is 1 to 2 at this point, Japan will get the opportunity to do 2 military operations with that. So this is going to be interesting. Now I'm just figuring out here the best way to go about doing this. Okay. Well, let's see. If I attack the maritime province, I think that's what that's called for Russia over there, then I could go ahead And I could secure that flank completely and then start to work my way westward in towards the Soviet Union, towards the Urals. Let's see. Well, all right. I could also do augmentation. Now, augmentation is good because then I can get myself some help with the die rolls. I think I'll do that, to be honest, because I think right now for Japan, that's my best bet. Okay? And this is a restricted area. This is adverse terrain. So I do want to go ahead and, yeah, I think the augmentation is the best way to go. So because Japan, again, is at mobilization in a 1-to-2 ratio, so every single offensive marker they use as a military operation converts into 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 1 to activate Manchuria, and we're going to attack the maritime territory here, and I will use my second offensive as augmentation. So let's zero in where the action is going to be. And then we'll go over this combat here step by step, so you can see how this is working. So let's see, am I going to be able to get, there's basically everybody. Let's come out just a tiny bit. There we go. Okay, so let's go through the combat thing here too. So I'm declaring a land operation. That's the first thing you have to do. So I have declared my land operation. I've declared my space. I'm moving into there. Now, if I had not used the augmentation, I could also strike at Irkutsk this time if I want to, but I'm not going to. I want to make sure that I nail down the maritime territory and then turn westward from there, which of course that will also secure my flank whenever I decide to attack China, because of course that's going to come as well too. Okay? Let's see. So we have to worry about here supply as well too. Now Japan has no problems with supply because they can trace into Manchuria there, and Manchuria, although it's adverse terrain, I don't think that's going to cause a problem. But let me just absolutely make sure here with those rules here. Okay, trace from a production site, so we're tracing from Tokyo. Okay, and under an unlimited number of areas. Okay, so we can basically trace from Sea of Japan to the Korean Peninsula to Manchuria. Check, we're good on that so far. Okay. Okay, so far we're so good. Now, Japan doesn't have to declare war here either, by the way, because since they are one of the fascist powers, the fascists can just attack with their surprise attack and go. So they don't need to worry about that. That's in the surprise rules here in the booklet. Okay, so here we go. This is what I need to know. Line of control can be traced into or out of, but not through a restricted land area. Well, Manchuria is not restricted. So Japan will be able to trace supply into that restricted area there. Okay? But not through a restricted area. Okay? So alright, so that means Russia should be in limited supply because all their stuff is restricted. Because their production centers are here. They're Moscow and the Caucasus. Okay, so with their limited supply, they should be, I'm pretty sure that's going to count as limited supply. You can trace into, but not through. So if I'm tracing from Moscow and we're going from over here to the B box, then I can trace into but not through. So Siberia is restricted. All these are restricted. Okay, so they're going to have some issues here. So we're going to put the surprise marker down because they're going to have the surprise bit there too. Okay. All right, and now Japan is officially going to be belligerent, and they are going to be at war with the Soviet Union. So over here on the record display, you have lines that you can put down, and we also are going to enter limited war here now too. And that also, of course, means now with limited war, we will shift on our crisis events too at this point. Okay, so Japan is launching their military action, and they're going to do augmentation. Now, there's other things you can do with your military offensive. You can actually build stuff in the middle of a turn too, if you want. as well. So that's something else to keep in mind that you can do. There's also deployment. You can just move units around as well too. Okay, so surprise attack. All right, state of war. Okay, you don't need a political action, don't need an effectiveness check, but only fascist powers can do the surprise. Okay, and then once a country in a particular ideology is attacked, the others don't suffer the surprise. Of course, the Soviets are by themselves, so that's not going to help them here. Okay. All right, so now let's start going through the combat system here. So we're going to move these units in. So we're moving the Japanese land unit into here. And now we're going to commit support. Okay, so friendly air units, airfield or friendly fleets in port can support combats. Okay. If you're in an area, you have to support, so that Soviet fighter has to support. There is no choice there. Okay. Air units can support any kind. So, let's see. The only thing I'm not sure about is I don't think I can support with more than one Japanese aircraft because that is a restricted area there. And the occupation limits allow only one in each area. Let me just double check here and let me see. Okay. Move to the target area. Ungarrison. Fleets. Committed. Suffer. I don't see anything about that though. So, let me double check here about occupation limits. Okay. And again, you know, some of this is the kind of thing that you kind of just have to really, you know, focus on here. Let's see, land and mixed areas. Restricted terrain reduces limits to one of each type. Land, naval, air, logistics. Okay. But that's whenever you're actually occupying it, and combat units get to regroup at the end. Okay. You know, I think I can use both of these planes for Japan. So I think I will use both of those planes for them, but then the Soviets should be able to commit this air unit from nearby too. So by that logic. So we're going to go ahead and go with that. Now I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, by all means, someone please say something in the comments section, because again, this is educational and instructive as well as hopefully entertaining. So that's what I'm going to do here right now. That's how I'm seeing the rules, because I don't see anything that says during a combat I can't do that. Let's see. Let me just double check here. I'm just skimming everything through here. I don't see that. Okay, so let's just go on to air superiority. And again, if you know made a mistake, well, you know, again, then everybody can learn from it. Okay, so here we go. So first thing we're going to do is we've done our support. Now we're going to have air superiority. Okay, so we're basically going to have an air combat. So both sides get 2 dice by default. Okay, so everybody's got 2 dice here. All right, now we got bonuses and penalties. +1 for each augmentation action spent for the attacker. So the attacker, Japan, will get +1 to their die roll. -1 if extending it areas at extended range. Well, we don't have that because that would be a range of 3. That's not an issue for anybody here. Okay. Attacker, defender marked with limited supply. The Soviets, I didn't get a limited supply marker on them. Hang on. Let me find one here. Here we go. So the Soviets have limited supply out here in the maritime powers. So they will get a -1, and defenders surprise -1. So the Soviets are going to get -2 altogether to their die rolls, and the Japanese will get +1. Ouch, that's kind of brutal. Let's see what happens. So 5 -2 is 3. The Japanese had 4 + 1 is 5. Okay, so that is a difference of 2. Now, combat result basically works like this. So we have 5 -3 is what we're looking at here. 2. Then you divide it basically. You're basically doing division here. Okay, so you divide the. Let me get the wording right here. Equal to the winner's score divided by the loser's score. Okay, so it's a difference of 5 and 3 there. So 5 divided by 3 is, math was never my strong point. I'm not going to lie to any of you. So if you're kind of going, dude, sorry, Just want to get this right. Okay, so you drop factions, that's a 1. So, now, whenever losses happen, you can reduce your loss by 1 by declaring a voluntary retreat. Okay? However, that's going to be a bit of a problem here because the Russians can only retreat the 1 unit. They can't retreat both from the space there. So they're actually going to lose this air unit and will go back to the available forces pool. So the Japanese have won the air power battle there. So now, land combat. Okay? Let's go ahead and get the land combat rolling part of this as well. So again, both sides begin with 2 dice. Okay? Air superiority. The side with air superiority gets an additional dice. So that's the Japanese. Armor superiority. Nobody has armor superiority here. Aid. There's no aid involved. And again, here we go. Pluses and minuses. So, Japanese get +1 for the augmentation. Okay? Not doing any invasion at extended range. Soviets get -1 under limited supply. However, they will get +1 because they're in adverse terrain. This is adverse terrain here, this little shaded looking stuff here. I actually made a mistake the other day. Mixed terrain is this thing here, this lighter one, but this one's also restricted at the same time. So I apologize for that. I caught that later on. Okay, so far Japanese have +1, the Russians have 0, and now the Russians have -1 because of the surprise. So here we go. All right. Now in combat, if you roll more than 1/6 at the top, you get to add that to your score. Okay, that's how you go ahead and resolve combat also as well too. Okay, that's an augmentation that goes on with all this. Okay. Each additional 6 counts as 1. Well, right now I rolled a 6, a 4, and a 3 for Japan, and a 5 and a 3 for the Soviet Union. Okay, so Japan will get +1 because of the augmentation. That takes them to 7. And the Russians lose 1. That will take them down to 4. So 7 to 4, and again, I don't think that's going to get us. That's not quite enough for 2. That's going to leave us with 1, and you drop the fractions. Yeah, it's 1.75. Curses! Alright, but again, the Russians really can't retreat here because this restricted terrain will not give them any kind of benefit. So that Soviet army will be destroyed because it has no place to go. It cannot retreat to there. Okay, and now in the aftermath, we need to see here. Okay, the Japanese will occupy this space. Okay, they will go ahead and they will take over here, and we'll talk about regrouping here in a second. So I'll leave the 2 airplanes where they are for the time being. So the surprise marker now will go into the communist one, no surprise. So, unfortunately for the Germans, if they ever wanted to launch, or the Italians, if they wanted to launch a surprise attack on the Soviet Union, they can't do it now. Japan used that up. Okay, so Japanese are the only ones left standing. So there's no cubes or aid markers to remove. Attacker places one of their cubes in the conquered land areas. So the Japanese have taken over the maritime space. There. There's more cubes you put down if it's a home area, but of course this is 2. I'm sorry. 2 is only the capital one. Okay. Let's see. Adjust victory points for each cube added. So the Japanese will increase their victory points by 1 over here. So they will go up to 2, because that's their second cube on the board now. Manchuria and the maritime territory. And let's see. Destroy any logistics. We don't have to worry about that. Land and air. Units friendly to the attacker may regroup. Okay. So the Japanese can go ahead and bring back this 1 airplane to Manchuria, just in case the Soviets decide they're going to attack. But Comrade Stalin, I don't think, bought an offensive marker. That's going to be too bad for him, because otherwise he could try to strike Manchuria if he wanted to. So, Japanese are in good shape right now. out over here. Now, powers gain flags conduct stability tests that are triggered by the conquest. So let's check that here now as far as gaining flags go. Okay. Let's see. And again, I'm just kind of going through this carefully again because I want to make this as good as I can. Okay. Any power collapses, Fisher, triumph. Well, there's no triumph here for Japan because they did not take more than they can apply. So there's no triumph there as far as that goes. I don't think that affects retreat. No, it just says more losses than you can apply. So that's not an issue for the Russians. They had one loss and they got rid of one land unit. So that took care of that problem. Let's see here. Now, as I work my way through my video here carefully, let's see. Conquering an active enemy home area. Well, technically this is a home area because this is all part of the Soviet Union, so the Russians will get a flag. So now, gaining this flag, they already have something in reserve, so they're going to put this into the cup. And that should be it as far as that goes. Okay, so we've conducted this land operation. Japan has managed to win. So, the rising sun is rising over the Pacific, at least in northeastern Asia. Okay. So, Comrade Stalin's going to need some help here pretty soon. He's going to need some pressure from someplace else. He's going to need help from the democracies if he's going to survive. And the democracies are going to have to get off their dupa and start doing something. Alright, I hope all that made sense. And again, I hope I got everything right, especially the air power part is the part I'm most concerned about. So again, for those of you watching this and those of you who may feel like you have a better handle on things, or if one of the designers see this, the air thing and the supply tracing are the two things that I was a little iffy about here, just to kind of recap. Okay. Alright, now, somebody could interrupt if they wanted to. So the Soviets could interrupt. They could interrupt with a political action and try to redeploy some of their forces from Europe. But they also could try to do a political action with a military option and build another land unit and try to secure... they could try to secure some of their eastern areas here. They also have to be concerned about Mongolia now, too. There's a lot of problems out here now in the east for the Soviet Union. So, should I do that? Should I go ahead and try to do a maneuver, conduct one military action? And if I do that, I could either build the unit in the force pool, or I could march units from Moscow, since things are calm here in the European theater, and move it into Siberia or Mongolia. I'd have to check on those transit boxes too, though. That's true. Because Mongolia is under threat now, and that's not good. Let's see. Well, let me double check the connection boxes here, because we do have our map connectors. Okay. Alright. Map connector is traversable by air and land, white circle. So, we've got that. Okay. So, we can go ahead and do that. Alright, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and play this, interrupt, have the Soviets play this political marker and try to get a military action here and try to build and then deploy this unit. So we have to do an effectiveness roll, 2 dice. It's a 3 and a 1. Ooh. So, having trouble fighting in the Politburo apparently. Anybody else want to interrupt at this point? I don't think so, because I don't think anybody else, unless of course, that's true, we could do, either the French or the British could try to send aid to that Chinese army just in case Japan's going that direction. But should they do that, or should they wait for some kind of civil war thing? You know what, I'm going to sit and wait. Okay. Alright, let's go through a few more actions here. see what we got. Home front. So the Italians have to do their home front test. Okay, so Italy's in good shape though because they're steady. They don't have any negative modifier because they're still just rearmament level. So let's see how they did. And oh, look at that! It's a 5. El Duce has got the country under control. Oh, it's another Japanese offensive. Wow. Whoo. Now, if I wanted to, I could redeploy one of those armies to Manchuria. However, if a unit is activated for one operation, it cannot be activated again in the same turn. Or the same action phase, I should say. Whew. But I could put it into reserve, too. I could wait, but the question is, what am I waiting for? Why not finish off the bear? The bear's in trouble. But I need to redeploy some forces to finish the bear, so I can protect Manchuria. But I do have 2 operations, but I won't be able to augment them. Decisions, 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 huh? Ain't that the truth? Gosh, I hate to waste. Let me see what my other options are with military action, because I would really hate to waste. I can't do the build because I would have to use both of them to get that naval upgrade. So if I do deployment, I can move all my units, but they can't attack. But then again, I'm kind of wasting one of them if I don't do that. On the other hand, if I attack from Manchuria, but then if the Soviets move into Mongolia, you know what? I'm going to play this safe. I'm going to go ahead and do this offensive, and I'm going to go ahead and do a deployment action. And I am going to move this one Japanese land unit into Manchuria, so I'm ready for next time. I know that's probably a little conservative, but I don't want to throw away my advantage either, to be completely honest about it. We got a crisis marker. Okay, so let's see what kind of crisis we've got. Now that we've switched to war, because we do have limited warfare going on right now, because we do have 2 of the major powers belligerent. Let me just double check and make sure I am completely right on that. I'm pretty confident about that. Let's see, where is our war? Here we go. The first time any powers become belligerent, immediately place war status marker on this limited war side in the center of the political thing. Okay, so we do indeed have the limited war going on. So we will go to the war side of the crisis tables. So let's see what we get this time. 21, blackjack. Blackjack is, a civil war. Oh, maybe it was a good idea holding on to some of those aid markers for some of the democracies. Hey, hey, hey. Like Fat Albert would say, those of you old enough, hey, hey, hey. Used to love Fat Albert. That was really good. Yes, youth. Okay, well, the higher roll is a 1. So, George, get this. We have got a civil war in Czechoslovakia. What? Can we do that? Apparently we can. Okay, so this is interesting. I've never encountered this before, because France has a marker there. Let me double check here now, because I just want to make sure that I can do that. Or am I going to have to re-roll this? Let's see. Civil War Crisis Event. Roll 2 dice. Consult the table. If any power occupies the area with a land unit at the time of the crisis, it's not a land unit, that's a cube, Civil War is suppressed. Otherwise, place a Civil War marker in the area. Got it. Remove any minor army in the area. There's no minor army in Czechoslovakia. Okay. If the area already contains an influence marker, it doesn't. If the area is controlled by a power, non-land units must immediately retreat. If a country, remove the power's cube. Ouch! Ooh. So France will lose that, but guess what? That actually might work out for them. No, actually it won't, because they still have equal number of victory points with Italy and Germany. Oh, if that had actually dropped that down, that's one of the triggers ending status quo. And that ends, I'm pretty sure that happens immediately. Yes, immediately remove it. Okay, combined victory point total of Germany and Italy greater than combined UK and France. But it isn't. France and Germany both have 1 victory point. Italy and UK both have 2. Ooh, so close to ending the status quo. That would have really opened the game up, but did not happen. Okay, so let's check out the other things here about the Civil War. So, let's see. For home or colony, place a neutral cube. No, we don't have to worry about that. The power may place 1 aid marker for either faction. Okay. Power. The player who drew it. Okay, well actually, yeah, I don't really have any... Oh, the power. So that's actually, that would actually be France. And it doesn't cause provocation. Okay, so the French will place their aid marker and hope that they can win that civil war there. Yikes. Well, well, well. But see, this is part of what I love about this game. Look at that. Total bonkers. Total bedlam thing that's like completely out of left field. So now, is it worth interrupting here at this point? Excuse me. Well, Britain could interrupt if they wanted to. The fascist powers don't have anything to put in there. That's too bad, because this would be the opportune time to do it. France could put in another aid marker, but I'm not sure. Let me check. Let's see. When you resolve the Civil War, I know aid markers do assist. But the most aid rolls an additional die. So nobody else has aid. So that would be kind of a waste. Probably should save it just in case there's another Civil War. So no. Nobody will interrupt. Next marker. Ah, Soviet flag. What will the Soviets do? Well, I could try to do what I did last time. I could try the military thing and build the army, send it into Siberia or even Mongolia. I think I better do that because I got a pretty good buffer here. I was eyeing the Baltic states as Comrade Stalin, but I don't think that's a good idea right now. So let's try to do this with the political action. Let's try to do this military operation again. Ah, it's a 4 and a 3. So... Oh, wait. Hold on. Comrade Stalin, I forgot to place the block. Again, I can't stress this enough as a solo player. Make sure that you keep up with the failed political action. There should have been one there from before. 4 plus 1 is 5. Comrade Stalin can do it. So he's going to use the military operation 1 to build the army and bring it into Moscow. Oh, I have to reserve or add it to the action column. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reserve it. Because then I will be able to bring it in the next time when I have a chance. Won't get to do it right away, because remember, you can't do 2 actions in a row by the same ideology. Woo! Okay, so Comrade Stalin pulled that off. Alright, I know this video is starting to run a little long, so I'll tell you what. As they used to say in Schoolhouse Rock, 3 is a magic number. So let's do 3 more counters. Uno, dos, tres. No substitutions, exchanges, or refunds. And then I'll go ahead and be my closing thoughts on this. So first one here is a German airplane. Alright, I will build the German airplane. And I will move it to the Ruhr. Because I want the French to know I'm looking at them. I'm watching you. Second marker. Japanese home front test. Now, got to roll 2 for stability, but Japan does have a -1 to the die roll because they are at mobilization. So Japan really needs a 6 here. And they rolled 2 3s. Yikes. That's not good. However, that only drops them down to unstable. So, one more marker, and then I'll do my final thoughts. Okay, this is it. Here we go. What is it? Ah, it's a Soviet offensive marker. You know what I think I'm going to do? I am going to, because I can trace a line through communications to Romania, I'm going to send it to the Civil War in Czechoslovakia. Okay, well, on that happy thought, final thoughts on the game. First of all, love it. As you can probably tell from my enthusiasm here in these 3 videos. This is the ultimate sandbox game. This is the game I've been looking my whole life for, covering this time period. You know, because I've completely gone off the rails of World War II here. You know, I've got the Soviets expanding into the Balkans. I've got Japan going wild in northeastern Asia, targeting Russia as their primary enemy. You know, there's just a lot here that you can do. You know, some of the things you're going to have to do for geopolitical considerations. You know, as Germany, right now, as Germany, I would love to take advantage of the Soviet Union's weakness. But, you know, I still may gamble on that, by the way. I'm still debating not attacking France, but maybe attacking Poland. And then working my way through to attack the Soviet Union while they're under pressure from everywhere else. But then the democracies are going to have to get off their duffs and get moving. Okay. So again, this is really cool. I really enjoy it. There's a lot going on here, but here's the thing. The rules systems are simple without being simplistic. You know, there's a lot of things. Yes, I had to check the rulebook here a few times in this video, but that's because I just want to try to get it as right as I can for all of you watching, because I don't want to put out misinformation, but at the same time, you know, you are going to make mistakes. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. That's just part of life, you know, and sometimes you're going to forget rules. And there is a lot going on here. You know, you got all this stuff with the civil wars, and you've got the failed political actions, the stability tests, and, you know, the conversion tables and stuff. So there is a lot here as a solo player. That is a lot to remember. That's a lot on your mental plate, okay? But again, you know, coming up with like little aids and things like that is probably a good idea. I probably should make a little card or something, you know, to hang on the wall back here, you know, by Tom and Jerry, by the bat signal. You know, one of those things. Ask Batman for help. You know, just to remind myself, don't forget about failed political actions and putting cubes down and stuff. Because if I hadn't remembered that with Stalin here a little bit ago, I wouldn't have been getting that army. So the combat system's a little different. Not super different. The movement requirements as far as moving through spaces and bases and stuff, make sure you pay careful attention to that too. As a seasoned wargamer, there's nothing here that I was just like, whoa. Everything made sense to me. Everything's logical. It's just, it's like looking at the picture on the box, looking at the picture on the cover of a puzzle box and being like, oh yeah, that looks awesome. But, you know, the first time you're really putting it together, you kind of mess around with the pieces a little bit. You know, you're like, whoops, that one actually doesn't go there. And that happens with this, because this is, you know, a multiplayer game. I mean, you've got 7 countries involved here overall and stuff. I can see this being totally awesome as a multiplayer game. I'll probably never have that happen. My wife has said she'll give it the old college try for Father's Day, so we'll see how that goes. But actually, I might reserve that for Hitler's Reich, which is coming out. Supposed to start shipping yesterday, but I haven't got a notice yet. So anyway, in the end, I really enjoy this. This has not let me down. You know, I was chomping at the bit. I was, you know, as I said on Board Game Geek in one of my comments, you know, I was making Pavlov's dog look like Oddball from Kelly's Heroes. And I have not been disappointed. I have been playing this game for over a week now, almost a week and a half, ever since I got my hands on it, right out of the box, boom. And this is the fourth thing I've played. I played the Eagle and the Rising Sun, then I played Days of Decisions, and played part of a campaign, and now I'm going to play this campaign to the bitter, bitter end this time around. And then I might move on to a different game. Or I might not. We'll see. I'll keep you updated as far as that goes, where I might be heading to next, because I have no idea. Because there's 3 games that I pre-ordered from GMT that are supposed to be shipping here. Hitler's Reich, Skies Over the Reich, and not a Reich going on, right? And No Retreat 3, Western Front. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go with one of those. Am I going to go back to Pacific Theater? Because most of you know I've been enjoying that a lot lately. We'll see. So anyway, so if you like sandbox games, if you like grand strategy, because this is definitely way up at the grand strategy level, then I highly recommend this. This has been a lot of fun. And again, take a look at Bridger's instructional video where he goes over all the rules and such. That's a good intro to things. It's a good way to get your feet wet and get into the game. I hope that these videos have been of help to some of you as far as getting a feel for the game and whether you think this really would appeal to you or not. But I'm telling you, if you like sandbox stuff, if you like alternate history, even if you just like World War II and you want to play around with it, because, you know, let's face it, that's one of the reasons, and that's my main reason for loving war games so much, is I love the idea of playing with history. You know, I know what happened. I can read the books, but, you know, I want to try things myself. You know, it's part of the appeal of this is to be, you know, Napoleon or, you know, Zhukov or Yamamoto or Nimitz. You know, that's part of the appeal of this, is to step into those shoes and be like, okay, I know what they did, but here's what I want to try. You know, and sometimes you find out, you're like, ooh, that's why they didn't try that. And other times, you know, it's like a huge gamble and it paid off, and it's like, yeah, it paid off, but I'm just rolling dice. I'm not dealing in people's lives here, so, you know, you can understand why some people didn't take some of the gambles that they did with some of this. So, again, 2 thumbs up for me, however you want to do that, for this game. And this has been Tim Korchner from Bare Bones Wargaming, saying, this is my sandbox dream. I hope that didn't come out wrong. And, again, I hope these videos are helpful, even with the mistakes I might have made, and I'm probably sure I've made a few along the lines. And again, I don't care, you know, if you notice something, by all means, you know, all I ask is for civility and respectfulness, and I try to live to that standard by myself as well too. I'm open to discourse about anything with these videos, because again, hopefully my mistake won't become your mistake, and your playthroughs will be smoother sailing as a result. So, thanks for watching. I'll be back again, I'm not sure when. I won't try to make it too long of a hiatus, but I'll have to figure out where I'm going next, because honestly, after this, I don't know where I'm going. So, I know where I've been, but I don't know where I'm going. Now I'm just rambling. So, thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time.